Hello and welcome to Full Disclosure, a podcast project conceived entirely to let me spend more time with interesting people than I would ever be allowed to on the radio. But several interesting people this week, Graham Fellows. Because for people who don't know, you are the creator of John Shuttleworth, and long before that, Jilted John, but also an actor under your own name.
Yes.
Do all the John Shuttleworth fans know that Graham Fellows is also an actor under his own name?
You know, I like to think that one or two don't, and come along to my Shuttleworth shows and leave happy that they've been to see this doddery old bloke who's not very good at singing or playing the organ.
We'll get to it, but when he first appeared in your imagination and then shortly afterwards elsewhere, that is what people did think. It was.
Well, I remember a fairly early gig in Glasgow, actually, for quite smartly dressed people sitting on the gallery, leaving promptly after about 15 minutes. And apparently they told the box office that it was disgusting because I couldn't sing. So they not got the right idea, or they hadn't entered into the spirit of the joke. But
it would be hard to pitch it, wouldn't it, as an act, rather than, I mean, instead of waiting for people to get the joke, to actually try to explain the joke would be close to impossible.
I know, and if I stop and analyse it, it's quite a foolish thing to try and. It's like you're hoodwinking the audience. Well, you're asking a lot of them. You're saying, "Come on, enter into this world and believe that that this." Well, I don't know what you're doing, really.
It's an ever-expanding world as well. I mean, you've got new tours coming. I don't want to jump ahead because there have been moments where you felt a little bit haunted or not that fond of him. But let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to Sheffield in 1959 when you were born. Your dad was a photographer, a professional photographer. Was that glamorous?
I think there were glamorous moments. I remember he worked from home. And I do remember as a kid going into his workroom, I suppose, where he did all his finishing off the photos, spotting, they used to call it. He'd have little bits of ink that he'd scratch blemishes off and then cover them with ink. Yeah,
like manual Photoshop.
Yeah, that's how it was done, because he'd print them. But I do remember seeing stray offcuts of glamorous girls in leopard skin bikinis sat on like an E-type Jag.
Yes.
And he'd taken the picture, and I'd go,
that is glamorous.
Where did that one come from?
Yes.
And I think, you know, he was a photographer of all things. So he'd get people coming for passports. He did weddings, but he would get occasionally prospective models coming and wanting their. So that was probably one of those. Yeah.
But he didn't do newspaper stuff.
No. He did.
Because my dad, it just occurred to me now, my dad was on the Sheffield Telegraph in 1959. So if he had done any, they'd probably have been on jobs together.
He did. He photographed houses. That was his bread and butter.
Okay. What, for estate agents?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's quite sad, really, because in the 80s, maybe even the late 70s, the work dried up.
Yeah.
Because overnight processing came in.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And I remember him telling me about this. And that's why photographers like him did really well in the 60s and 70s, because estate agents couldn't develop their own films. So he could turn it around quickly and they could get it in the newspaper. But once that happened, overnight processing at chemists, he was toast.
That was it, finished overnight. And your mum was also a big influence on you, but not so much the marriage guidance counselling, but the early environmentalism. She was very ahead of the curve. Yeah,
she used to. If I was on a trip to the shops with her, she'd always stop and pick up litter and put it in a basket, meaning there was very little room for items that she'd purchased.
She should take it all
sometimes
home.
she'd take it. No. But sometimes that could embarrass me, especially if there were other kids around, you know.
But she wasn't doing it because she had OCD or anything like that. She genuinely was an environmentalist.
Yeah, but they didn't call them that, did they?
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean,
'Cause-
she just thought it was a shame that people drop litter. And I found myself doing the same now. And my sister had just been to visit me in Leicester, where I now live, and we spent at least 20 minutes on the park picking up litter together and remembering our mum.
I was going to say, as a little homage to Mum. You're one of 4 siblings. You mentioned your sister. Was it a happy home?
Not really, James.
Really?
Well, but it wasn't unhappy either.
Okay, that's cryptic.
Well, no, I just thought, was it happy? Yeah, I suppose it was happy. I don't know. This is weird because I'm actually having some psychotherapy at the moment, and I feel like I'm back in the session.
A lot of people say that. I don't know why.
Because you're asking the same kind of question.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But it's interesting. The more committed a following, I think the more interested people sometimes are in the person behind the characters or the public persona.
I suppose
How comfortable
I
are you talking?
wanted to dodge that question, didn't I?
You
for
did
some
a bit.
reason.
You did a bit.
And I think it's because at the moment my work with my psychotherapist is very much focused on my upbringing.
Yes.
So we're in the middle of some rather delicate work.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to sabotage.
No,
it.
I don't. Let's go straight to the Manchester Youth Theatre.
What? No, let's don't. That's a spoiler. I'm going to build up some tension towards that.
Sorry.
There's a theme. On full disclosure, I'm going to forget who some of the other ones are, but Krishnan Guru Murthy is another alumnus of Manchester because it was a seminal moment in my life, and I'm always surprised by how many other people from completely different places ended up in the same spot in Manchester. But I'm not going to dig into your.
No. Look, it was a pretty happy home, but I was one of 4, and I was the only boy.
Right.
So.
Yeah, okay.
Got picked on a little bit by my 2 elder sisters.
And how comfortable are you as Graham Fellows? Because a lot of people won't have seen you.
No.
In this guise.
Well, as you can see, I'm struggling.
But you're not struggling.
Well, it's partly the bright lights. I mean, when I agreed to do this, I assumed it was just audio only. And I should think that way because I'm much more comfortable.
Oh, forget about it. I never think about the cameras.
Oh, well, okay.
They put cameras in my radio studio a few years ago, and I still don't know they're there.
No, but you're good. I watched you on recently because, of course, you must know this. You've made it because you've been impersonated on Dead Ringers.
I have recently,
and I thought it was a wonderful little skit.
It was lovely, actually.
Coming up to the yeah, you must have been delighted.
Of course, you're delighted by it, but you don't like to talk about it.
But it was good.
But anyway, we're digressing. What else do you remember? I mean, I presume that the family refrigerator that was secured by you winning a national baby photo competition that was too early for you to remember. Your first taste of fame.
It was my first taste of fame. I think I was on page 3 of the Daily Express.
Sensational.
My dad, being a professional photographer, could take a good photo. Though actually, the photo itself is incredibly corny. It's me in a cornfield with a little bit of grass in my mouth like that.
Idyllic, bucolic.
Very bucolic, and I look quite scruffy and happy. So I think that's why it won because
So school, I suppose, would be the next thing to ask about. Did you thrive? Were you a bright lad?
I was kind of bright, but very good at maths and English at junior school, and then when I got to comprehensive school, after the first year, I suddenly couldn't do maths, and so went from being at the top because it was just arithmetic, went to the bottom because it was all Venn diagrams and cosines, and I just concentrated on doing school plays and.
So when did that bug first bite? When did you first feel the pleasure of people laughing at you or watching you?
I remember I was in a garden party playing a policeman in some sort of humanised version of Punch and Judy. I was the policeman, and I remember.
How old would you have been then?
About 10.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember some lads laughing at me, but not in a nice way.
Oh.
They were just laughing at me.
Right. Well, that's
because they think I think I must have looked a bit stupid.
That's not an answer to my question. When did you first feel the joy of being laughed at?
Oh, the joy, yeah. Sorry, I'm still in therapy. The joy was probably quite soon after that, when I was in Island of the Winds by Alan Cullen.
Yeah.
And I played Marco Polo Smith. I was the lead in
I
the
don't
school
know that.
play.
I don't know that.
No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't. It's a good play. And my sister, Sally, not the one who collected litter with me, that
No.
was Lorna.
Right.
Sally played Boreas, the North Wind,
In the same play.
in the same play, and that was quite good acting with my sister. But I wasn't frightened of forgetting my lines then. I've since become really worried about forgetting lines.
Have you?
Yeah, and that's why playing John Shuttleworth is so suitable for me, because if he forgets his words, everyone just laughs and it
And
sort
thinks
of works.
it's part of the plan.
Yeah, and
Which
I
is-
go back to my keyboard and have a bite of my banana. For the last 5 years, I plant a banana, not literally in the ground. It's obviously been grown and
It's harvested.
harvested, yeah. But I just stick it on. Well, initially I put it on top of the keyboard. Then I worry, as John, I worry that people in the audience who had an early tea might come on stage and steal it.
Yes.
So I hide it.
Good.
But yeah, I will go back and have a little bite of my banana.
So,
And during that
yes.
little feast, I will hopefully remember what I was doing.
How plotted is it?
Oh, it's quite plotted,
Is
but
it?
the audience don't know that.
But I mean, is there a script backstage?
No, never a script.
But-
No, because I think, when my whole mission, when I started doing John Shuttleworth
Yeah.
with my audio tapes and then eventually on Radio 4, was to kind of tear up the whole, the book,
Yes.
to say the script, of how radio drama should be performed. Because, when you hear people read a script on the radio, you can just see them with the script. It's impossible to get that staccato stop-start flow of real conversation that I'm doing now, because the words, I'm trying to think of the words.
They're not in front of you already.
Yeah, but so that's why I never, and I do that on stage. I don't have the lines completely worked out.
See, we've been doing a thing on the radio where people ask ChatGPT to come up with one of my monologues, and they've got better and better and better over the last 2 or 3 years as ChatGPT has got better and better. But I could never pass one off as me, because I'd be reading it and everyone would be able to tell. So it would never sound. That's exactly what you're describing, isn't it? It's an authenticity and a weird. I'd never thought of John as representing that, but of course he does, because it never sounds. It never sounds as if he knows what's going to.
Well, I think it works best on my show, The Shuttleworths, where I'm
more than one character.
and I'm building up the tracks on multi-track.
And playing
bit
all
by
of them.
bit. I'm playing all of them. Yeah, I think on stage it's a little harder to do that.
So did you go to places where? I mean, did you do as a family? Would you go to working men's clubs when you were young and watch these kind of acts?
No, not really. I was kind of more like a sort of, Mike Lee came from a middle class background and sort of
had a fascination with
fascination with the working class and look at them over the garden wall, really. And I wasn't the son of a doctor, I was the son of a photographer, but
Sure.
my parents were naturists. They like taking their clothes off. In case you didn't know what a naturist was.
No, I didn't. I knew what a naturist was, but I didn't know your mum and dad were.
Yeah, it's not on that sheet.
It's not on this sheet.
Because you'd have come to it by now.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And I was quite embarrassed by that,
Right.
certainly as a teenager. So,
Oh God, yeah, you can't think of anything worse as a teenager.
Yeah.
And did your mates know?
No, kept it quiet.
You would.
I mean, the
wouldn't you?
sad thing is they had
Suddenly, the therapy is beginning to make more sense than it was at the beginning of this conversation.
The sad thing is, James, I had 2 sets of keys to get in
Right.
to where they practice naturism.
Yes.
I think that's really sad. They have to open a gate and then drive down, lock the gate again, and then drive down to another gate, open that, and then lock. I think it's sort. I don't know.
So that no one would accidentally.
Well, I guess it's that.
And this was in
locking themselves in.
This was near Sheffield.
Relatively, I'm not going to give the exact location.
No, but it was
in case Peeping Toms.
It was a community. It was a
a
naturist community.
And they had to pay for the privilege, yeah.
Of course, and that was to ensure, I don't know, that people... Yeah, that is quite weird, isn't it?
Well, I find it a bit sad that we're like that, aren't we? I mean...
It's very British.
Well, I can remember in the 80s, there were beaches where people
Yeah.
could go and take their clothes off, and that's kind of all stopped.
Yeah.
And I think... I was talking to my girlfriend about that. She said, well, it's because women don't really feel safe taking their tops off anymore.
Maybe. Although I stumbled onto a nudist beach by accident in Crete a few summers ago.
Was it an accident, James?
It was. I was with my children. It was an absolute accident.
Yeah.
And there was no self-consciousness there. It's quite a British thing. It's quite a British thing, I
Yeah,
think.
I guess. So, yeah.
So what would be fun for the family? What would you watch telly together? Where did you get your sort of entertainment influences from?
We would watch normal things like the Morecambe and Wise show, and I'd always then carry on and I'd watch Braden's Week, Parkinson and then Braden's Week,
Yeah.
and then I'd get sleepy, and it would be bedtime. But I remember we used to go camping. We had some good holidays in the big family tent, and I would be very envious of kids who had caravans, and that's created a lifelong love of caravans as an adult. So I've got a little place in Orkney, and I have a caravan up there. I used to have a church, but I got rid of it.
Oh, when did you get rid of the church?
Well, last year.
Oh, I didn't know that. 'Cause
No,
you made a film about it.
I have, called Father Earth.
A big project.
It was a massive project. Yeah, it was a big part of my life. I bought it in 2008 because to backtrack, I made a film about the Shetlands called It's Nice Up North, and I kept going for little holidays there and had a few friends, but decided it was a bit too far to travel, so started going to the Orkneys, which is not quite as far. You're supposed to, it's still quite far.
It's relative, I suppose.
And I saw this dilapidated chapel for sale, offers over 38 grand, and my offer was good enough, and I bought it and got a grant to do it up. And for about 10, 15 years, I've been trying to make it work as a residential recording studio, but unfortunately, after about 3 months of being open for business, my resident engineer left Orkney, and I couldn't get a replacement. And that is actually one of the problems with remote communities like that. It's so hard to make things work. I mean, if I'd gone and lived up there,
you could have done.
Then I think I could. But the lovely thing is, I've sold it to the local community.
Okay.
The Craft Hub have gone and bought it, and they're using it, and they've even bought my piano off me. So, and this is fantastic. I'm going up in a couple of weeks' time, and I've just sent an email to them saying, can I rent the space with my piano for a day? And I haven't heard back from them yet.
Well, it's nice. It's come full circle.
Well, it would be great because actually, from a logistics point of view, it would help them to get. I'm hoping it'll be about 30 quid.
Yeah,
is that fair?
It seems reasonable.
And then they can put that through their books, and
Yes.
it will look like they're doing really well because it's a charity and everything.
But it will also be serving the purpose you wanted it to serve, even though you're no longer at the helm.
And I can sleep at night. You see.
Well, yes, because it would be a weight on you.
It was a weight. Yeah, I mean, it was a big responsibility, and I'm not the sort of bloke who. I'm very good at starting things, but it's so hard to finish things. I mean, it took me 10 years to finish that film, but I picked it up again in lockdown because
It didn't start. I mean, it was more of a diary, wasn't it, when you
Well,
began,
it was.
and then you sort of at some point thought I could turn this into a film.
Yeah, but I was meant to be a film in about. It was initially called "Excuse Me, Can You Help Me Save the World?"
Yes.
Sort of a polite attempt to sort of. I suppose it's about environmentalism, but people who don't want to shout about it.
Well, that's why I asked about your mother, and
Yeah.
you blocked it by talking about picking up rubbish, whereas in fact she was an early vegetarian. She grew a lot of her own food. It was there's an obvious link between what you did in Uist and what your mum was doing, way ahead of.
No,
fashion.
you're right. She and then she died of liver cancer, age 54. So that was not fair because she'd led quite a healthy life. And,
Yes. Very unfair.
Well, it is unfair, but life's unfair, isn't it?
When did it kick in then? So, because you've got this twin, for people who don't know, that there is acting and music, and they've always been more or less in parallel. So I'm getting an image of when the acting happened quite normally, like it does for a lot of kids. You liked it at school. You were clearly very good at it. Were you a show off in class? Were you the kind of kid who?
Yeah,
you were.
Yeah.
People trying to make everyone laugh, effectively.
Yes, I was. Yeah,
and so
I would often be kicked out of the class and spend half the lesson just outside.
Yes.
The room. Yeah.
And when did the musical side of you start developing? Was there much music at home?
Not well. We all played the piano a bit,
Right.
But we did a lot of dancing around, jumping on the sofas to 76 trombones and Oklahoma, Sound of Music, Oliver, that sort of thing. My dad was a hi-fi buff. He had some.
Okay.
I remember he cast the bass for his record player out of concrete himself, and it weighed about 12 stone, and it needed several strong men to carry it and place it. And he said that this will stop the records bouncing.
Yeah.
They won't jump at all. And then he got us to jump up and down, and the records jumped.
Still bounce
They
off.
still jumped. He
Furious.
could, and yeah, he never. I don't. It was all a bit of a pointless exercise. It didn't work.
So at what point did young Graham start thinking that these two worlds of performing or of music or of performing music could actually be careers? And would it be something that mum and dad were encouraging of, or would they have sort of told you to get over yourself?
I know my mum, actually, I think both of them thought that it was a bit risky to go to drama school,
Yeah.
which I did. I went to Manchester Poly School of Theatre, but I was determined to do that because I just remember seeing a TV documentary when I was about 14 about kids going to drama school. That was actually stage school,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do that, but I was just in school plays instead. I joined a local amateur dramatic society in Sheffield where I grew up, and used to be in all the plays. And this is where also I got my love of sound, because on one of the plays I did the sound effects and operated the sound for I think an Arthur Miller play. Can't remember which one. No, Butterflies Are Free. Who was that by?
Again, I don't know that one.
But you're a thespian yourself, or have been?
I've had my moments
Yeah.
of thespianism. So I know what you describe. I know
Yeah.
that feeling and that sense, that daring to dream that this possibly could be something you might do as a grown-up.
Yeah. And it just seemed the natural course, because I just obsessed with being in plays, and I thought I'd be going to the RSC. You know, that was my dream. It's when I got to the Manchester Poly, and within a few weeks, I started playing this guitar that was sitting in the refectory, as we called it, the canteen. Someone had tuned it to a chord, like an open chord, and I just put my finger across the 4th fret and created this immortal riff. And then I thought, well, if I go a bit higher, it'll go. Oh, and then a song came out one lunchtime,
Which everyone will know.
Yeah, well, not
Everyone,
everyone,
well, pretty much everyone actually. My kids know it.
Did they?
Gordon is a moron. And you mentioned that, and again, I don't want to eat your therapist's lunch, but you talked about wanting to be in the RSC, and then immediately you've talked about Jilted John and the way that Gordon is a moron appeared in your life. Is that an actual junction? Is that like, if I hadn't done this song,
Yeah.
which is unique in the annals of pop music, probably.
I like the probably,
Well,
but it's true. Yeah.
because you took your music seriously, even though it could be described as a novelty song. And Martin Hammett produced it, I think, and it's not a novelty song, and yet that's why I say unique, probably in the annals. Do you think that is the point at which, had there been a chance of going down classical acting or going to Stratford, that door suddenly shut without you even knowing?
Well, it probably remained open. I mean, I think if I had gone, I played Brand by Ibsen at drama school.
I know.
And it was a big part.
Yeah.
And I probably wasn't quite up to it, because it's very hard for me to not be funny.
Yeah.
And it's not,
Yeah.
or not to appear comical, I think. And I mean, this film Chicken Town that we'll be coming on to shortly, I was in about 18 months ago, but it's coming out now. You know, I just pull silly faces, and I'm not aware that I'm doing it. But my dad used to come to my school plays, and he'd say after the show, he'd say, "That was very good, Graham, but you're still doing this."
Right.
And
Mugging almost.
yeah, but I don't know. It just
It's very poignant in Chicken Town.
Thank you.
There are moments of...
Yeah.
I mean, but I see what you mean, in that even when you're doing pathos,
yeah.
you are funny.
Yeah, and that's okay. You
It's
can
brilliant
you
in
can
Chicken
be-
Town, but probably not in Ibsen.
No,
Is-
that's it.
I'm
no.
understanding what
but
you're
it'll be
telling
okay
me.
in Shakespeare.
Yeah, well, it
because
would be.
He
Yeah,
was a
very
bit of a
much so.
comedian himself. And
Yeah. So we've skipped over Manchester Youth Theatre. Let's rewind to the summer of 1976 when so that would be the first time you were away from home.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, me too. And you'd stay in a hall of residence in Didsbury or somewhere.
Even better,
like that.
I stayed in a house.
Did you?
With one bloke who lived there all the time.
Right.
And there were three of us came in, and we all had our own rooms, paid rent.
Yeah.
And cooked our own food. And I was like, 16, or was I just 17?
And it was like being a professional actor. You'd rehearse all day. There was this incredible character, Jeff Sykes, who we will both remember, who just was. It's a very overused phrase, larger than life, but he really was, and he had this passion for young actors, for acting, and
smoked an extraordinary amount of fags.
He'd
start a rehearsal with 60 fags. Literally
three packets on the table in front of him.
He sort of made it look respectable, didn't he? And unfortunately, that's when I started smoking.
To be more like Jeff.
Yeah, probably.
He's a glamorous man.
Well, he was glamorous, but 5 years later, he popped his clogs.
Well, no.
10 years later.
No, it was much later.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because I knew him in '88. I did it 11 years after you did, and he was very much present, very much
good.
A figure. And so just tell me a bit about that, because that is when you sort of get a taste of what it might be like to be an actor, isn't it?
Well, I was lucky enough to be cast as Trinculo in The Tempest, and that's a wonderful comic character. Here's now the bush nor shrub that bears off any weather at all, and another storm brewing. I hear it sing in the wind. And I just thought, is this really Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Because I can understand this. And did Jeff Sykes direct me? No, it was Ken Farrington who played. No, it was Jeff Sykes who directed
it.
And I think he told me to hear it sing in the wind.
Thing.
That's a bit corny, isn't it? I hear it sing in the wind.
But it worked.
But it did, yeah. I got a lot of laughs.
Mike Lee directed that at one point.
Did he?
I didn't even know that.
What, for the Manchester Youth Theatre?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a mate of Jeff's.
And Hazel Sykes was his wife.
Mrs. Sykes, who was another.
Everyone was a bit scared of her.
She was
don't know why though. She was
lovely. Because I did a few things off season, and I sort of go back and do little things, little plays, not during the summer season. And
this is going to. Sorry, go on.
Go on. No,
I was going to say this is going to be a very parochial edition of your.
Yeah, but it'll get on the Manchester Youth Theatre Facebook page. Everyone will reference it. But I'm interested in it because there's not a lot in your background so far that points towards the direction in which your career subsequently went. And it is, I suppose, that youth theatre makes you think I could actually do this. Did you argue with mum and dad about wanting to go to drama school, or was it just a sort of quiet fear on your behalf that they had?
Well, I actually applied to read drama at university. I just didn't get in.
Oh, really?
I nearly got into Manchester University, and I would have been in the same year as Ben Elton
and Rick Mayall, yeah, of course,
and Eddie Edmondson. And they wrote to me and said, "I'm sorry, we're full up. We've had some rather good entrants this year, but we'd love you to come in next year."
Right.
So if I'd taken the year off, I would have got a place, but I would have been a year behind. And I'd also got a place at the Manchester Poly Drama School, which had a very good reputation. And
really
some great
did.
actors like Dave Threlfall, Richard Griffiths, Julie Walters just left. So I thought, no, do that. And I'm glad. It's just what was so weird is, talking about the classical acting career, within a few months, I'm hanging out with punk rockers and I'm playing guitars and not trying to play a guitar. It didn't matter. That was the beauty of punk. It was the idea that was the important thing, and being able to pay for an 8-track studio, or get someone else to pay for it, and within a few months, I'd whilst my rehearsals for plays were going on, I'd be going off to jam with these guys, local punk musicians, Rabid Records.
Yes.
But the record was made, and it just seemed to have a momentum of its own.
What was that like? I mean, it's hard to know what words to use. So I said, like, almost unique. It was huge, and you had no particular background. You hadn't had a particular ambition to be a pop star, really, or to be a punk rock star. I don't think. You just like making things.
No, I didn't. I wanted to be a classical actor.
Yes,
remember?
No, I do. but I also said there's two tracks running through your life. You've always been both actor and musician, but it must have been surreal. Suddenly, you're on top of the pops 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. It was only 3 actually, but and the last time I remember distinctly, I forgot my words, and
Right.
this was the first sign of my problem with remembering stuff.
Well, you're haunted by that memory.
A little bit, yeah. It's concentration.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and if you want to be a good actor, you really got to be able to concentrate, and you've got to be able to remember your lines, really. But as I say, this with Shuttleworth, I can get away with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I've just probably, because I just to shunt forward a little. In the early 2000s, I developed a character called Dave Tordoff, who was this very confident, brash builder. And one reviewer just said he knows the price of everything and the value of nothing, which I loved. That was a great description. But although he was a bit thick, if you like, he wouldn't hesitate. He wouldn't forget what to say. And I did at the Edinburgh Fringe, and I had a bit of a meltdown. And had to leave the festival.
Gosh.
And at the time, we didn't say what had happened. I think we pretended that it was a family illness or something. But I just walked away from the show, and I've never performed that character live since. Which is a shame because it was a good character and it was doing well. It was my first live show.
So you hide in
with that character.
You hide a bit in John's.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I hide behind him
scatterbrain.
Yeah, because I'm so confident. I know the character, you know, and you can mug away, like, you know, drawing in breath. I think one of the nice reviews is that he gets comedy from every grimace, shuffle, and sigh. You know, you know. So
you've been back to Edinburgh since.
Oh yeah, I have.
And you're going back
times,
this summer.
Yeah.
You're going back this summer.
Yeah, I didn't go back for a couple of years. I'm going back this summer, and I'm doing a week, the middle week, 11th to the 15th of August, at my old stomping ground, the Pleasance. And I'm basically doing a trimmed-down version of my 40th anniversary tour, which is called Raise the Oof. You're smiling very kindly, but what does it mean?
Well, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Does it?
Well, I wrote it down in my diary about 2 years ago, and then I went, oh, that looks good. But when I say it, I suppose it's a pun on Raise the Roof.
Yes.
And
I just presumed that.
And it's a pun on what John says, oof.
Oof.
Oh, good.
It doesn't matter.
We don't need to look any deeper into it.
Well, I think there's a lot of acts that you shouldn't look too deeply into, as you say, because it might all sort of fall apart in your hands if you start overanalyzing things. It just works.
Do you know, I'm starting to be... Because I don't know you very well, James.
No, we've only just met.
Well, I don't listen to your show every day like a lot of people do.
No.
You are very popular.
You're very kind.
But I sense you've dallied with performing, and then you've decided you've got more sense.
No, it wasn't that. I got expelled from school, and so I felt I had to go to university instead of drama school because my parents were so let down. And then when I was at university, you're good. You see, you've turned it around. You're interviewing me now. Look, he's just folded his arms as well and leant into the moment. Well,
suddenly you're the one in therapy.
Well, I am, as always. Yeah. I saw Michael Sheen in When She Danced, the Isadore Duncan play.
Right.
And I realised I was not very good, or at least I'd never be that good. And so that was literally, it's in that moment in that theatre, in probably 1991, my ambition disappeared.
Wow.
My theatrical ambition just went poof.
Yeah, that's, gosh.
Right, he's Michael Sheen, you know, he's quite good. But it's still something there somewhere. But it just went boom in a moment. Also, probably I was frightened of failure, frightened of rejection.
It is a big thing.
It is a big thing.
Yeah, and I don't think. I mean, I'm 66 now, and I have been. I'm in my 40th year of doing John Shuttleworth. Yes. But the fear of failure still.
Yeah.
Is right on the surface.
It's
every time before you go on stage, it's scary.
Yeah, why am I doing this again? And then when you hit the moment, Douglas Adams used to call it throwing yourself at the ground and missing when you take off and you're flying and you're in. That's the best thing in the world. It's the best feeling in the world. So it's back up again to Jilted John. You had a proper crack then at the music industry. A proper album, singles released. We're in about 1979 now. And it didn't happen. It didn't land, and you then you go back to college, sort of thing. As that must have been like for the year coming up behind you. They'd all know, they'd all recognise you, and yet you were back. That must have been a weird time.
Do you know you're right? It was, and I don't think it did me any good really.
No,
I probably should have taken. Somebody offered me a part in Godspell. in the West End, and I should have done that. Just or gone off and. Yeah,
Why do you think you
toured
didn't?
Japan or something. You
Yes,
know.
of course.
But I didn't. I went. I thought I'd be really cool and just pretend like it was no big deal having
Yeah.
this hit record. But I remember, like, within a couple of weeks of being back at college, I was wearing a papier-mâché mask, standing with all the other actors, being in a Greek tragedy, going, Agamemnon, Agamemnon. And I was so bored because only a few weeks before I'd been posing for photos with Debbie Harry, pecking her on the cheek, you know.
God.
At 19.
Yeah, and not knowing, I suppose, I mean, being frightened of never kind of having moments like that again, or would you have allowed your thoughts to go to places like that at such a young age? I think I peaked at 19.
Well, no, you see, at that stage, you think you actually think, oh,
This is
bring
my-
it on.
this is my new
Yeah,
life.
this
This
is
is-
my new life. I'm going to have another one. And so my acting career was actually probably put on hold by myself. I carried on at college, but I was spending all my time writing songs and trying to recreate the hit. But of course, you can't. And I think I've written better songs in that sense, but I know that they'll never be as well remembered as.
No.
Well, it's funny because it's called Jilted John by Jilted John, but everyone calls it Gordon is a Moron.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to the stage now where I'm not correcting them.
No, I think I've fallen into that trap already. Thank you for not correcting me. But so you graduate in 1980 and get a job on Corrie quite quickly, I think.
Well, I played Gail's prospective suitor twice.
Yes, two different suitors.
Yes, well, I'd like to think it was maybe the same character who'd gone away and changed career.
Yeah, but the scriptwriters didn't think that.
They didn't.
You're giving yourself a backstory.
Yeah. Well, the first appearance was probably the best one, and there's a clip of it on YouTube, and it's wonderful. It was because it was meeting Gail outside the cinema when she had just started going out with Brian Tilsley.
So she was still Gail.
I mean, Gail Platt. And
Potter.
Gail Potter, you're right.
Yeah.
And
Platt was after Tilsley.
Sorry, of course it was.
Come on.
I don't really watch it anymore. It was Gail Potter, quite a bonny lass, if I may say.
Yes.
And I was just, I think I got the part because I played a jilted character. I'd been jilted by my girlfriend. I'd been stood up.
Yeah.
And I wander over to her and say, "Oh, have you been stood up? So have I. I'll be on the back row if you fancy it." And she says, "No, thank you. I'm just waiting for my friend." It was just a couple of little scenes, but because soaps were shot on film back then, and the exterior, because video cameras weren't good enough quality out for exterior, so the shot on film. It looks great. It looks like it looks sort of like Ken Loach's shot it, and I'm really quite proud of that.
That's
and then
nice.
I was on again 3 or 4 years later for 2 months, playing someone who fancied Gail while she worked in the cafe, and I was with the wonderful Philip Jackson. He was my, who is in Poirot, plays.
He was in Darling Buds and May as
Yeah,
well, wasn't he? He does a lot of directing now, I think.
Does he?
I think he does as well.
He played my my mate,
Right.
driver's mate, and I did a lot of work for Granada TV. I was on a roll, and probably with the help of that record, you have a sort of momentum, and it lasted for about 4 or 5 years and then stopped. And then I was on the dole, actually, for a couple of years, but still writing lots of songs. And then I decided I ought to write an album of my own Graham Fellow songs. So I did. I put out an album called Love at the Hacienda, which was a nod to the nightclub in Manchester, which was all the rage.
Yeah.
And it did okay. It became quite it's a big hit in Japan, an underground indie smash in Japan, but nowhere else.
So it wasn't going to...
Vinyl copies are selling for 250 quid
In Japan?
in Japan.
Gosh. But it wasn't going to provide you with a livelihood.
No, well, but it did get me. It got me my publishing deal with Chapel Music.
Ah, okay.
And I started doing the odd gig here and there with a guitar, and had a small band, and without realising it, I was sowing the seeds of Shuttleworth,
Yes.
because some of the songs were a little bit comic. Denise from Doncaster was one of the songs,
So now we're in the mid 80s, mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
I think.
But what happened was, the day that I signed my publishing deal as a serious songwriter, I went home and I made a tape of John Shuttleworth, and it was based on the jokey tapes that the A&R guys, who were mainly men, were playing to each other to amuse themselves.
Right.
And they called them turkey tapes, where basically people who were a bit rubbish would try and get a deal, and they'd play on their little Casios.
So bad demos.
Bad demos, and some of the best ones were fantastic.
Yeah, unintentionally.
Yeah, unintentionally. Yeah. But
so
I decided
tried
to do
make
my
one
own.
Intentionally.
I did, yeah, and it was John Shuttleworth.
Did he appear immediately?
I had no visuals for him. It was just the voice, and I'd put it on cassette and I sent it to my publisher, and he didn't know who it was at first, but a couple of days later he gradually realised, and then what they said was, let's have some more of that.
Right.
And they suddenly forgot about my serious love at the hacienda songs, and
another sort of
so that was
sense of you thinking that success in one way closed down potential success in another way. That's popped up quite a few times in our conversation.
You're right, it has. Yeah. I'll bring it up with my therapist
next week. You're welcome.
No, but it's true. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, there was some disappointment there. But it's a lot of fun to then work on this character. And
yes, for 40 years.
Yeah, off and on.
I know, off and on. I know, yeah. and a wobble as well. At least one wobble where you began to get quite pissed off with him, I think. And there's a famous. You filmed it, didn't you? Where you talking into the mirror or.
I did, and I was quite had a lot of fun with that.
Yes.
Remember those flip cameras?
Yes.
Yeah, high def video cameras. I started filming myself at shows, John Shuttleworth gigs, in the mirror in the dressing room. So I'd be dressed up as John, and then I'd be filming him in the mirror. So I'd be. The only way I can describe it is to probably do it.
Yeah.
So imagine you're the mirror. So I go, "Hello, Graham. You looking forward to tonight?" Not really. A bit fed up of doing this show. Oof, that's very short-sighted, Graham. It's going to be wonderful. Well, I don't know why you say that, John. I say it because it's true. Get your act together. These are the wrong spectacles, Graham. I can't see with these on. Oh, that's better. Yeah. So I just make that up, and it was fun, And the best takes ended up in Father Earth.
Yes. And your acting career, we would call it your straight acting career, never stopped. You've done bits and bobs throughout this period.
Yeah, I think bits and bobs is about the right description.
But you can't commit to massive jobs because you've got tours on the horizon and you've got John stuff to do as well.
No, sure, yeah.
It's a nice arrangement. I don't know that I sense you agree. I think you've ended up with a lovely sort of what they call a portmanteau or a career, or do you feel that yourself?
Yeah. No, I think if I reframe it, James.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I was just thinking that I did I spent about at least 6 months working with lots of kids from Nottingham, from the Nottingham Video Collective, back in the year 2000. On a series called Dangerville.
Yeah.
And that was a really good kids series.
Yeah.
But the irony is that years later I'd worked with the same group, not same group of kids, but from the same video, Nottingham Collective.
Yes.
On Chicken Town. So it is nice to go off and do other things, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know why I'm not happier about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just not.
Are you pleased with Chicken Town?
Yes, I am. I think they've done an amazing job.
It's a lovely piece. It's a really lovely film.
Considering the budget,
yes,
which we're not allowed to talk about.
Well, you can't really tell.
No, you can't tell.
There's not much budget there. They could afford you.
Well, they could. I mean, we were all paid, which was fantastic.
Co-written by an old pal of mine, Patrick Dalton.
Yeah, brilliant writer. I was drawn instantly to the writing. I just thought this is really kooky, and And
How many scripts do you
funny.
get, Graham? How often do you get sort of tapped up for stuff?
Not a great deal. I mean, to be honest, I get things like I get invited to do a lot of podcasts by
Right.
guys who I've got 3 subscribers. You know, it's that must happen a lot, I guess, to performers. They get tapped up to do podcasts, and I mean, podcasts are kind of they're great for someone like you because
Sure.
you're getting different guests. But
Yeah.
as someone who's just a performer on it, after you've done 5, it's pointless, really.
Yes, of course it
well,
is.
because all I'm doing is saying the same stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
So this script lands on your doormat, and you
but
think,
this is the most probing, intimate podcast I've ever done, actually.
well, that's because I'm very genuinely interested.
Yeah,
in
okay,
you. So it seems to be on familiar territory. That's why at the beginning I tried to ask a clever question about where Graham Fellows ends and the characters you've created begin, but
I don't know.
no, I don't think you do.
But I mean, it's funny because over the years I have been asked periodically, "Oh, you've been doing John so long. It's probably has the character taken you over?"
Yes.
And I've always gone, nah, no. But I think there has been a bit of a price that I've paid in terms of my sanity or
Yes.
a sense of self at times. Because I've spent months and months working on perhaps a radio series where I've spent over half the day being John,
Yeah.
or Ken,
Yeah.
or Mary, or
Yeah.
Joe. In fact, actually, that's quite cathartic, probably veering into another character. It's a bit of respite from John.
Because quite often there'll be loads of characters for people, and therefore you don't lose your sense of self. If you're like Steve Coogan or someone like that has got so many different.
Well, he's mad anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's also been a guest on this.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh. No, he's actually got more and more sensible, hasn't he?
Many moons ago.
I hung out with Steve when
Did he go to Manchester Poly as well?
I
I think he
he
did.
may have done, yeah. But I knew him. He went to the Manchester. Yes,
I
he
think he
went to
did.
Manchester Poly. Yeah, a few years after me.
It's
Yeah.
quite an echo because he started doing voices on Spitting Image, so he'd be a star outside of campus, and then like you come back onto campus and
Yeah,
not.
but
be a
we were
star
both at the same at Edinburgh in '92.
right.
When him and John Thompson won the Perry Award, even though everyone said I was going to win it, but I
Yes,
didn't.
it's good that you've let that go.
Yeah, and then I did. He did a series called Coogan's Run, and I
Yeah.
played his agent
Yeah.
in one episode. That was fun. But he was a kind of bit of a wild child, I would say. You know, to me he seemed very young
Right.
because he was like his late 20s, and I was mid-30s.
I was just thinking with him because he's got so many. He's had periods when he's been Partridge, but then other periods when he's been other characters and other. Whereas with you and John, as you say, it is sometimes very encompassing. So let's talk a bit more about Chicken Town then, because that is something that people can go and see.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're kind of, oh, that's nice. I'm stretching out now. I'm doing something different.
Yes, I did. I did feel that.
And
yeah.
to get stuck into a feature film as opposed to just a little bit on a podcast or a little. So you're not John. You're not Graham. It's a new character, and he actually has room to breathe in this film.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the challenge for me was getting through the first few days of rehearsal, which was a lot of improv,
Was it?
you know, which I hadn't done for 25, 30 years.
Gosh.
And Richard Bracewell, the director, was really into sort of, yeah, I guess it's a way the cast could all get to know each other. But it's a bit unfair on me because all these guys do this sort of stuff, workshops and, you know, pretending to be a turnip.
Aspidistra.
And nobody did that. They didn't do that one.
Oh, things have really deteriorated.
Or like, you know, someone was stood in a lift and then you'd have to join them and then you have to pretend the lift's broken and then what do you do? And it's just, but I did enter into it but I found it quite tough. But it's good for me, you know.
And did you feel, as you entered into it, did you feel sort of things sprouting? Did you sort of find, I'm enjoying it? Did you let yourself enjoy it?
A little bit.
So Kev, tell us about Kev. Kev is a sort of...
Yeah, Kev strange. Patrick Dalton, the writer, and Richard, they wrote it together, I think.
Yeah.
He's got some strange choice of names at times. Kev Madams. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't quite get the surname, do you?
Might not mean anything, no, I don't know. I don't.
So he's a retired man. He's worked in a factory all his life. He's only just retired. The script originally, he was 73.
Right.
And when they approached me and said, "Can you play?" I said, "I can't really play 73. I know I've had a hard life, but let's." And we agreed on 67.
67.
And I was only 64 at the time.
Right.
But yeah, and 60. But in a way that made it kind of funnier because he kept saying, they'd say, "Oh, what are you 80?" I said, "No, I'm 67." But clearly retired, and his wife had died, and he was looking after some plants for the next door neighbour, who then goes into a home, and then the joke is these plants were it's marijuana. Is that how you say it?
I think marijuana. So. Yeah. Marijuana. Yeah.
We used to say grass. Can you say that anymore?
Yeah, of course you can. Okay. So it is. This is where it becomes a caper.
Yes, it's a caper. So the next door neighbour and someone who's just come out of prison, Jace, these two young people. They
in prison for a crime he didn't commit.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, he's been stitched up over the theft of a car and driving into a nativity scene. It's all a bit strange. But anyway, what happens is that my character and these two young people are drawn into selling the marijuana to a drugs baron called Mr. Green.
That's an easier name.
And we go to a little chef, even though there are no little chefs. But it was a cafe, and played by the wonderful Alistair Green, very funny man. It was shot in 15 days.
Was it?
Yeah.
I was going to ask about that.
Not long.
It doesn't feel like that at all, does it? It's a proper film. It doesn't feel like a rush job or anything like that.
No. I mean, it was a little bit rushed at the end. We had to lose a couple of scenes, but it's funny because, as I know, I've made a few films, and anything you cut out doesn't matter.
No.
You just accept it,
Yeah.
It's like if you take music off a film, it doesn't matter. You accept it. Put music on. Change the music.
Well,
the viewer will accept. If they don't know what was there before.
Exactly that. You might see it as a gaping great hole, but the average viewer doesn't.
No.
Weird then to make something a long time ago, and now to have to sort of talk about it in the premiere was in Norwich a couple of weeks ago. It's open nationwide this week.
The young actors in it, for most of them, I think it's their first thing they've done and professionally, and they are brilliant. I mean, I think you've seen it.
Yeah.
I really like.
I love it. I love
the two lads who, the guy with the stick.
Yes.
Sticks. He's called, isn't he? I'm very bad on names.
It's Jason. Jace is the main guy.
Yeah, Jace is. Yeah, he's the black guy who. And
Paula.
And Paula, and then it's Styx and Vincenzo.
Yeah, right. You are. Yes, of course.
And they're the local villains who get their noses put out of joint by us selling this other stuff, and so. And that's about it. That's the plot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it all ends a bit in a silly.
Don't give it away.
No, I won't give it away.
And along the way, you get to stretch your acting chops a bit, don't you?
I do a bit, yeah.
You do enjoy that.
Yes, I did. And there was a scene in a job career centre, which was. Do you remember that one?
Yes,
where
I do remember
I get
that
humiliated over.
Come and see this relic.
Yeah, and I've got an old mobile phone, and they compare it to Stonehenge.
Yeah. There's a quiet dignity to him.
Okay, yeah. There is a quiet dignity to him, yes. I suppose he's not that far from me, except I haven't got any grandchildren. Huh. I've got 4 kids, but no, and they're all of an age where they could, well, 2 of them are, but they don't want to have kids,
Really?
Yeah. How old are your children?
19 and 17, so it's not really.
A bit young.
For now, yeah, but you know.
Kids don't really want to have kids.
We talked about that on the radio this week. It has changed.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I always thought it was like a primal urge, but obviously not, because it's an intellectual process that they engage in and come out the other end thinking, no, actually, that's not for me.
Well, they look at the state of the world, don't they?
Apparently,
Yeah.
We're nearly done. So the film is out now. Go and see it. It would be my advice. Chicken Town. It's hard to categorise it. It's very British, I think you'd say, but it's also very funny, which is universal.
There are fights in it which are clearly no one gets hurt. You can tell that no one's been hurt in it, which I quite like that.
Yes.
And there's some weird little observations, which I'm sure have come from the mind of Patrick, about
a very interesting mind. He produced my radio show for a little bit. I'm glad to see he's gone up in the world. And you've got a lot of other stuff going on. But John Shuttleworth Takes the Biscuit has only been out for a few months, hasn't it? That came out earlier this year.
Yeah, that book is, as I like to quip when I'm trying to flog it at gigs, if you don't like reading, it's full of cartoons. Just look at the cartoons. My friend Kevin Baldwin, who illustrated Henry's Cat. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course I do.
Cartoon. He's done a lot of cartoons of John and his family over the years. I have got to say, Chicken Town is being streamed.
Yes.
At the end of the month.
Well done.
At the end of July, you can buy it on Prime.
Excellent. And it's got it's on at a few cinemas as well, so it's worth trying to find it at a.
It is. That's yeah. I mean, it's on in London and Westfield. I'm touring in Edinburgh.
So doing a week in Edinburgh and then taking a bigger version of the Edinburgh show on the road.
Yeah.
To mark the 40th anniversary.
Well, we've done the tour. We did it January to April, and then this is a few more gigs in October and November, and they're all on my website. Shuttleworth.co.uk, yeah.
Shuttleworth.co.uk. Is there a typical John fan?
Yes.
Who is it?
You.
Well, what?
But if I wasn't saying you, I'd say a bald fat man.
It's not a bald
from the north.
It's not though, is it? Because that's the whole point. As we began talking about it, would be very, very hard to pitch it. It would be very hard to say to a commissioning editor, "I've had this idea," which is why you did the thing yourself. You created him on the tapes, and it grew organically into what it's become.
It's been
today.
A cottage industry. I mean, I've been going such a long time, and I've had one TV series and one TV special. I've had quite a lot of radio shows. But everything feels very organic and cottage industry. I mean, if I compare myself with Steve Coogan,
yes,
which I wouldn't, but for a while I was, and I was thinking, well, he have a team around him.
Yeah.
And I've never really had a team around me. But he's probably far more ambitious, or was, than I was.
Sure.
I guess you don't know what's. I don't think you can plan your career really, or you can. And as we've discovered, me talking about it, everything gets changed anyway, and you can't help that.
Man plans,
so you just go with it.
Man plans, God laughs. I often end by asking about ambition, actually, and we haven't mentioned it once in the context in the conversation so far. Did you ever have any? I mean, apart from the vague wish or the deep wish to go to the RSC, or which didn't happen, although it's still mine. Have you ever had like a really specific? I really want to do that, or achieve that, or win that, or play that.
I think I would really like to have an album of songs that people go, yeah, that is amazing, and not just. I know I can write comic songs, but most of John's songs, I'm very proud of quite a lot of them, but they're all generated off a Yamaha keyboard with the built-in rhythms and everything, and I guess that's maybe how I'm going to be remembered, or for that riff. But I would love to do an album, so I sound like Carole King's Tapestry, that everyone goes, oh, yeah, it's brilliant. But I've got time. I'm kind of retired now. After this tour, I am winding down.
Oh, yeah.
I'm collecting my pension, and that's, as you'll discover, James, one day.
It's a moment.
Well into the future. Well, it screws your mind up a bit, because suddenly you are a pensioner, and that's weird.
Yeah.
But it's also quite exciting to get that money. So it's a double-edged sword.
Graham Fellows, thank you.
You're welcome, James.